And finally, from my good friend White Hat, a very interesting article from the Epoch Times entitled "Thousands in China Exposed to Mind Control Technology Seek Answers." The secretive technology is kept under wraps, but tens of thousands in China say they have suffered from its deleterious effects. Through online forums, many have shared about how they suddenly experienced mind-altering symptoms, such as hearing voices or seeing images that others can't. They believe they've been targeted by authorities as unwitting mind control technology test subjects. The symptoms are similar to those reported by several U.S. diplomats working at the U.S. consulate in Guangzhou, China, in China's Guangdong province. They say they heard abnormal sounds and felt sensations of air pressure. Afterward, they showed signs of mild traumatic brain injury. Jenny Lee, a spokesperson for the U.S. Embassy in Beijing, told the Associated Press at the time that a U.S. government employee first reported a variety of physical symptoms between late 2017 and April 2018. At the time, the U.S. State Department said it would investigate the incident, noting that it was similar to an incident in 2017 when about 40 diplomats at the U.S. Embassy in Havana, Cuba, also reported falling ill after hearing an unusual sound. That led to speculation that they were attacked by a sonic or electromagnetic weapon. Remember that, guys? Brain scans of affected U.S. Embassy staff in Cuba revealed abnormalities in their brain tissue. Now, a China-based NGO, whose name translates to Against Concealed Technical Control in English, was established to assist victims of such attacks to file lawsuits against local authorities. The Chinese-language Epoch Times interviewed several victims as well as the NGO's representatives who recounted their experiences. A man using the surname of Zong to protect himself from reprisals by the Chinese regime has organized victims to file joint lawsuits against 24 provincial governments since 2016, as well as 6 national-level lawsuits since 2017. Zong said that the victims come from different age, social, educational, and working backgrounds and are from places all across China. That's led him to believe that provincial governments are each involved in their own mind control testing. Victims have reported experiencing similar symptoms since the 1980s. For decades, victims felt mental and physical distress, with some choosing to take their own lives as a result of the torment. But local courts have refused to hear the victims' cases, and many are confined at psychiatric hospitals as a result. Zong said that in an attempt to silence him, authorities have also forced him into a psychiatric hospital. Li Da, an engineer and former deputy general manager at the Shanghai Taido Control Engineering Company, said he was a victim of mind control technology. He told the Chinese-language Epoch Times that beginning in 2015, many victims joined an online message board called Global Mind Control Forum to share their experiences. By the time the forum was shut down by censors in 2017, it had more than 70,000 members who registered with their real names, valid contact information, and their reported symptoms. Now, on those symptoms, a man from Beijing, surnamed Wang, a former director of the sports division at a large China media group, told the Chinese-language Epoch Times that around 2016, he began hearing extraneous noises whenever he picked up his phone, including during phone calls with his mother in the United States. I kept hearing a third person talking to me during the phone calls. At first, Wang thought his hearing was failing him. He went to see the doctor, who told him his hearing was fine. Eventually, Wang began hearing voices. Whatever I had on my mind, that voice was able to verbalize it. Moreover, only I could hear it and others couldn't. And the situation got worse. It follows you all the time like a shadow. The voice could get to know your private thoughts and memories, including your weaknesses, shortcomings, past wrongdoings. Then he, the voice, would take advantage of this knowledge to humiliate, scorn, and berate you, and go to the extreme in verbal attacks. Wang tried to figure out the source. In one experiment, I stayed inside a room and used newspaper printing metal plates which can block electromagnetic waves to cover the walls, ceiling, and floor. In this closed room, I found that the disturbing voice could not read my mind anymore. The voice also interfered with his daily living. I would inevitably fall asleep when driving for longer than 10 minutes. It was not a deep sleep, but a state of quasi-sleep, and I had absolutely no control over it, Wang said. He was involved in 4 car crashes in less than a year. That convinced Wang that the voice was controlled by someone conducting a mind control experiment. Wang said that he sought out a friend who is a senior Chinese official in the Communist Party. This friend confirmed to him there is mind control technology and our government treats it very seriously. He believes he's been targeted by authorities because his sister is a technology expert in the United States. He had refused to submit to pressure from the government to convince his sister to supply trade secrets to Beijing. Others who sought help with the NGO recounted similar experiences. Yao Duji, a former manager at a five-star hotel in Shenzhen City, told the Chinese-language Epoch Times that since 2007, he had been disturbed by strange voices as well as irritating and terrifying messages that would appear before his eyes. Whatever I think about, whatever I do, whatever I see, the voice will verbalize it. Sometime later, there was also intimidating messages saying that someone will kill me or arrest me. At a later stage, as soon as I closed my eyes, unpleasant images would appear in my mind. I lived in terror day in and day out. I felt that my situation was like that of a mental patient. Now, Chinese authorities have admitted to the existence of such technology, but only to explain that other governments have conducted related experiments. Whether the secretly selected test subjects are in a private residence, public space, industrial setting, or on public and private transportation, they can be affected by the chemical and biological stimuli emitted by the mysterious weapon. After a long period of time, the test subjects will become socially isolated and their immunity will go down, leading to various diseases and even death. The Chinese Communist Party's mouthpiece newspaper People's Daily reported in May 2012, soldiers who were attacked by such weapons have altered behavior and become like zombies who can be easily controlled. They can be ordered to turn off the engine of a tank. The report added that mind control technology can cause soldiers to kill each other. There's little scientific research into this type of technology, but satellite imagery confirms that the Chinese regime has developed electromagnetic pulse weapons testing facilities. In January, a U.S. congressional study on nuclear EMP weapons developed by China, Russia, Iran, and North Korea was declassified and published, offering more insight into EMP weapons that can cripple infrastructure. A Chinese NGO published a report in February about mind control technology after affected individuals conducted their own research. A military official based in Zhuzhou City, Jiangsu Province, who was involved in developing mind control technology, told the NGO in June that the Chinese regime has a machine that can interfere or attack a person's brain from thousands of kilometers away. It can connect the person's brain, monitor his or her intention, control his or her autonomic nervous system, and can even stop the beating of his or her heart, the official said. The NGO study concluded that the machine mentioned by the official likely had the ability to emit electromagnetic waves at the same frequencies as a human brain. The device can emit an electromagnetic wave that mimics real human frequencies to the target person, creating a fake feeling or hallucination or controlling the subject's bodily functions, according to the study. Wow. All right, guys, why is this important? Because the symptoms described here, the methods described here, really line up with many people who consider themselves here in the United States to be targeted individuals. Also, people who have committed terrible acts, saying that they heard voices telling them to do this, that they were told to go ahead and commit these acts because unless they did, then the torture was just going to continue. And the Chinese government says right here that other governments have done this. I submit to you that our own government, the deep state cabal that has been in charge of our government and has probably been working with places like China over these past several decades, have been engaged in this exact same type of activity. Many people here in the United States find themselves under this exact same type of attack, and I think that the terrible events that we have seen happening over the past several years that have been increasing in frequency, people where mass casualty events, stuff like that, I think that the answer to that is right here in this article. We need to talk about this a lot more, and we need people who are under this type of attack to come forward, and we need to talk to them about it. Too often they are dismissed as crazies, as having schizophrenia, because the effects of this type of weapon mimic the effects of schizophrenia. We can't allow this type of weapon to be just out there in the public, and the technology behind this has actually been declassified by our own government, or has been at least released by people who are involved in these programs. All right, guys, I think that's all that I have for you today. I want to thank everyone for joining me. As always, this has been Red Pill 78. I am the Corruption Detector, and this was your Red Pill News.